Hi there. Are you ready to write your first small program in Java? Let's start with understanding what is the class, the fundamental building block in Java. The simplest program in Java is to declare a class, and that's it. The way you declare a class is to start with the class keyword and then name your class and start and end with a pair of curly braces. This program does not do anything, but it is a valid program and it's empty. There are a few steps you have to take to run this empty program. First, you have to save this program in a file and name that file mylittleprogram.java. Once saved, you have to compile the program using the javac executable. And lastly, you can now finally run the program using the Java executable. In the next lab session, you will see that our little program can be compiled because it's a valid program, but we can't really run it using Java executable, and we'll also understand why. We are going to do all these steps on Google Cloud. Google provides anyone with a cloud computer if you have a Gmail account. A cloud computer is nothing but a computer in Google's data center, and we are allowed to access that remotely. Here is a picture of one of such data centers, and as you can see, there are thousands of computers here, and we are given a small piece of a computer to work with. You access the cloud computer that is provided by Google is to invoke this URL. It's console.cloud.google.com. When you invoke that URL, it takes us to the console page. And once the page is fully loaded, click on this small icon that you see on the right side. And if you hover over that, you will see that Activate Cloud Shell displayed. Click on that icon. And when you click on that icon, you will see this screen in the bottom. This is the input to our cloud computer. So basically, this screen that you see here is letting us know that a connection has been established to a box from one of those data centers that we saw in the previous screens. So we are now connected to a box in the data center, and we are now free to use this computer to do small programs and stuff like that. And the reason that I'm using this computer for this course is because Java is already loaded. For Java programs to work, we need Java development environment to be set up on that computer, and all that is provided by the Google's computer, so we really don't have to install anything. And to make sure that that is so, just key in java-version, and when you key in that and hit return, you will see that they've already installed OpenJDK version 1.8.0 underscore 212. That's the version of Java that is installed on this cloud computer. So we can simply create our Java program and run that Java program on this box without any problems. Now to write our first Java program, we're going to click on this pencil icon that you see here. Click on that, which will launch the code editor. And once it is launched, you will be able to create your file. So for that, hover over this file, click on that, and then click on the new file. And here we are going to name our file mylittleprogram.java. And now we are going to write our mylittleprogram class. Little program, open curly brace, end the curly brace, and as I mentioned previously, this is a valid program. Although it doesn't do anything, it's still a valid program. Now to save this, you can use Control S, or you could also use this file and save. Whichever way you feel comfortable, you can do that. So now this file is saved here, and to see that whether that file exists or not, key in ls and hit return, and you will see that this file that we just created is also listed here. So ls is a command for listing all the files in a file system. So we see that this file is created. And now, as we learned previously, we first have to compile the Java file. To compile the Java file, we use the Java C executable, and that executable is already there on this computer because the Java development environment is already installed on this cloud computer. So Java C is part of it, and that's already there. So let's key in Java C and my little program. For that, you don't have to key in the whole file name, just key in the first few letters and hit tab, and that will complete the rest of the file name for us, and we are ready to run this command. So once you have this whole line, then you hit return, which will execute the Java C on our mylittleprogram.java, and now it is compiling. It's compiling. It will take a bit, and then it is compiled. Now, how do we know that this is compiled? Again, use the ls command, and when you do that, you will see that there is a .class file created, and this says that our file has been compiled. Now that it is compiled, let's run this. So to run the Java program, you have to use the Java command. So Java, and now you have to use the class file and not the .java file. .java file is where you write your program, but .class file is what we are going to be using to run the program. So .class file is also called as the bytecode, and of course Java C and Java both are called the executables, which are part of the JDK, which stands for Java Development Environment. Also note that we should not put the .class extension when we run the Java executable. And now let's hit enter to run our little program. So what happened? When you try to run the program, it actually errored out. It really did not successfully run our program. It threw an error saying main method not found in class mylittleprogram. Please define the main method as public static void main, and inside the parentheses string with a square bracket pair and args. Or a JavaFX application class must extend JavaFX application. So it gave us some clue as to what exactly is wrong with our program, and we'll take the first option. So the first option is this, and the second option is this. Now we'll not worry about the second option. We'll take the first option. So Control C, and then do a Control V here. And this is a method. So as it is clearly mentioned here, main method is missing. So we'll end up adding the main method to this class. So every method also should start and end with a curly brace in Java. So we are going to put the curly brace, and as you can see, there is a curly brace starting and equivalently there is a curly brace end. And now our program is probably complete. Let's give it a try now. We'll again compile it and again run it and see what happens. Now again, go ahead and save it. Command S or Control S, depending upon which computer you're using, or you can also use this file and save. It's up to you. Now once it is saved, let's go ahead and compile this. So for compiling, it is Java C. We already learned it. So I don't have to once again type Java C. It is already there in the memory. So all I have to do is press the up arrow. So if I press the up arrow, then my previous commands are shown. So I can just use the command that is already saved and hit enter. So I just compiled the class, Java class, to get the .class file, and now I'm going to run the program using the Java executable. And now it's happy. Although it is happy, nothing really happened. There is no output at all. It just ran and there is no exception, but there is no output also. So to give an output, let's put a small statement here, system.out.println, welcome to programming, and then ensure that you end that with a semicolon. Now what is that we just now put here? This is called a statement in Java, and the system.out.println will allow us to print whatever you put within the parentheses in the console. Now this is the console. So when you run this program, we expect welcome to programming to be printed out in the console when the program is run. Again, go ahead and save this first. And then once it is saved, go ahead and compile this again. So every time you make changes, you're supposed to be compiling and then you're supposed to be running it. There you go. So now if I run this program, I do see this welcome to programming printed out, and that was what our intention was with this program, and we successfully executed it. Congratulations. And now let us do a recap on some of the fundamental concepts that we learned in this small lesson. To begin with, we declared a class. The way we declared a class is by using the class keyword. And of course, it is written in stone. To create a class, you have to have the class keyword. And then you gave a name, and this name can be anything. You can name whatever you want as long as you follow certain rules for naming a class, and we'll come to that next. But you can literally name whatever name that you want. And once you put that name, you have to start and end a curly brace. As you can see, the entire class is encapsulated between the two curly braces, which is also highlighted in the text editor. And then inside this class, we landed up putting a method. Now this is a method. The method name is main. The method name itself is main. However, it's having 3 additional keywords that are attached. Now one of the keyword is public, another is static, another is void. We are going to learn all of these things as we go forward. But these are keywords which are attached to the main method. It's the main method seems to have a pair of parentheses inside which there seems to be some arguments. So arg stands for arguments. So it's accepting some arguments. That's what is the meaning of this parentheses and the mention of some argument names here. The meaning of that is this method main is accepting some arguments. But of course, we are not really using those arguments inside this method. All we are doing is just printing out a welcome statement using system.out.println command. Again, we'll learn more about all these things going forward. But whenever you want to print something on the console, you use the system.out.println. Of course, there are some variations of this, but we are using println to print out whatever we want to print out on the console. And the most important thing to note is the method itself cannot stand by itself. It should be inside a class. So you first have to declare a class, and inside that only a method can be there. So what it means to say also is that you can't pull out this method and put it out here after you close the curly brace. If you put the method here, this is not going to work. Okay, so you always have to have the methods, any method of the class should be inside the curly brace of the class. It's very important to note.